So the first thing before we even set up camp, we're looking for maybe 3 essential things. Shade, open space, and that's to chase the sun with our solar panels. Now I don't know if you can see that fire pit way back there, but the last one is finding some separation from our neighbors. And then I probably should mention finding a beautiful view. So really there's 4. All right, so we finally found a spot. It is back in a one-way road off of the main boondocking area. The beauty of that, obviously, is no one's going to be on this side of us, behind us, we're alone. The downfall of one-way roads is that when you're sleeping in the middle of the night, there may be other boondockers that show up, and so they're gonna work their way down, shine their headlights on you when you're sleeping. And they have good intentions, they usually turn around, but it will make you feel maybe a little bit of anxiety because now you're in the spotlight. Why are they pointing their lights at you? So that's kind of the trade-off for a spot like this. The other thing I did at this site is we brought this in right away because it looked like a decent boondocking site. So I will reserve it, basically putting my car there, knowing other people might take it while I'm looking for something better. So this is always the part that makes me nervous because you're right before your site. You found this place that has beautiful views, but you always think somebody's going to take it. Then I just ran around all over here looking at the different boondocking sites that were established. Many of you have told us before we should use our drone for it. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, that white blob is Drew. He's usually the one running in to look to see if there's any sights and if we can turn around, if he likes it.
And then I've been thinking lately, an electric bike. That way, you know, there's so many trails, I'm kind of nervous to take the tow vehicle and trailer down because I don't know if I can turn around. With the electric bike, I can get there a bit quicker, I can scope things out, and then know if this trailer can make it down or not. All right, that's definitely, there's spots everywhere. Everywhere. So obviously after finding a spot, the first thing we do is find a place to park the trailer. And our goal is to park it somewhere where we can keep the tow vehicle attached to the trailer. And what this does is it allows us to escape, right, in an emergency situation, to get out fast. But the problem with this is when you put these two together, you have less control over leveling the front of your teardrop. And the front is where all our heads are. So being able to get that front above your feet takes a bit of planning around your campsite to find the right ground. So you probably can't see it, but as we pulled in just now, the front of this vehicle, the vehicle's going uphill, the trailer was going downhill, and that's how we like to pull in. We'll actually do a 180 just so we can get that trailer going down. And so when you come in, you're going down, but when you level off the teardrop left to right in the back with leveling blocks, as you can see here, we have our yellow leveling block there. When you put that under and drive up on it, it's going to bring that back end up. So your trailer was once going down, now it's kind of brought itself up to a more level position. And that's why you start going down so that it'll even off once you get everything leveled out. I'll help you down, but I'm gonna grab the rug first, okay? When we first pull up to the site, we're looking for remnants of partiers. For one, that means broken glass and bottles that can be dangerous for our kids. But number two, that probably means it's a place where there's repeat partiers. So if you don't want to be disturbed in the middle of your sleep with a partying group showing up, I just moved to the next campsite. So right behind me here is a little fire pit, and I knew that when I was pulling into this site, but I took a calculated risk. So when I'm looking for a site, I'm looking for somewhere with a bit of solitude. It's not that I don't like being around people, but when I come out here, I'm trying to get away from the hustle and bustle. And I don't know who's going to pull up next to my family. Is it going to be a large crowd of partiers? Is it going to be 4 toy haulers with 4 separate generators? Not that I'm against generators, but at the same time, I don't want to be around that scene. I'm here to hear nature, to experience nature, to, you know, just disconnect from it all. Well, I say that and then I carry around a projector, but you guys know what I mean. What I do is I position my car in a way that always takes away the possibility of me seeing my neighbor. If someone was to sneak up in the middle of the night and come in this site, I've positioned my car so not only do I not see them, the car and the teardrop will also block the sound so I don't hear them. And then if I'm in a really tight site that, you know, I know there's gonna be people all around like a public campground, I will put out my side entry tent, attach it to the teardrop, and put the door facing wherever nature is. So if it's woods or this lake, so I come out my teardrop, I see my tent, the next thing I see is just beauty. And everything else behind me is blocked off. And as crazy as that sounds, you feel like you're alone. Now you don't want to be going outside the established boondocking site, but my next tip is within that site, look for coverage, meaning grass on the ground. You want to avoid places that are dust because that dust is going to kick up with the wind and get in your galley and all over your food. And if it rains, that means mud puddles that you're going to be navigating around. The very first thing I do now, this is something I've learned along the way, is I'm getting out the solar panels right away, because every minute unattached from your tow vehicle or unattached from your home battery, your fridge, if you have one, is eating up energy. The next thing I think about is the side entry tents. I like to get them out right away for protection from the wind, from rain, and again, like I mentioned, from guests that show up. But if I am doing a one-night stay, so like kind of the overland thing where I'm just moving, I'm just going to use the teardrop. I may throw out the tent for the toilet, but typically I don't put out any tents. The toilet, I'll just run out and hide with it in the woods. It's time to put up your privacy shelter for your bathroom. And we've put them up in many different places, and there really isn't an ideal place that's more advantageous than another, except keeping it out of the sun. So these tents are pretty dark and pretty thick to block out your silhouette when you're showering. And if you go in there midday with no shade, it's just unbearably hot. So keep some shade on that thing in the hottest time of the day. So we typically choose the open air awning. We like the feel of the breeze. It protects us from the rain, but we do always have some sort of side entry tent or walls for something like this if the temperature gets down. That way we can put our little buddy heater in there, snuggle up as a family, and obviously we're gonna have good ventilation to make that work. And then if we know there's sideways blowing wind or it starts hitting, we'll quickly put those side walls up. Now here's a tip I've stumbled across, pun intended. That's your guy lines. Now we know our guy lines should go out at 45-degree angles. This is best practice. But what I find is that typically puts them out in the middle of nowhere of your campsite, and those tend to be the guy lines I trip over the most. So I like to stretch them towards large objects, next to the car, next to the solar panels. And the easiest way to do this is put those guy lines out and then move the larger items next to it when you're done. I used to leave the campfire set up till later in the night, but now I get that campfire wood out quick and the kindling so that I'm not fumbling in the dark trying to find it. And then if I know it's going to rain in the forecast, I'm making sure that's all covered. When it comes to having young kids at your campsite, there's nothing worse than being stressed the whole time that they're going to be safe. So we bypass any sites that have steep cliffs and strong rushing water. So when we get to a place like this, we start freaking out, like, is this too steep for the kids? We want somewhere where they can run around and just be them. We don't want to be babysitting them the whole time. I mean, in the sense of us fearful for their lives. Yeah. So we'll see. I think there's two ways to set up camp as a family. When your kids are young, I find the best way is to just put out the carpet quick, maybe throw out the awning, and let them just play while you're setting everything up. It's just a lot easier to have them distracted and you can move quickly. Now, as your kids get older, I've heard from many of you in the comments section that you like to give everyone a task, and it's about beating your last time. So if your setup time was 5 minutes the last time, everybody gets out there and moves as quick as they can to beat that time. It sounds pretty fun, and I'm excited to try that with the boys now that they're getting older. So what are you waiting for? Go set up that camp. But if you want to stick around, I have two great videos I think will really help you. This video is the gear we currently use and abuse to give you an idea of what we set up. And then this video is all our tips and tricks for how to find these great campsites that you really can't find online. So as usual, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next episode.